Welcome everybody to part 2 of our podcast. I am Zanny.
And I'm Audrey.
And we are the Therapy Aunts.
Hi.
This is a podcast made for you by you, which means you send us letters. We can read them out, analyse them, and have a little chat about your mental health struggles or concerns. You can do that by emailing into thetherapyaunts@gmail.com. This is take 2 of this. Unfortunately, the first take, we had it all set up, ready to go. Took us all day to do, and I had forgotten to press record. So apologies about that. We are behind schedule, but laughing and moving forward, not giving up.
Absolutely. It was an experience. It was definitely an experience, and one that all challenges come in to teach us something, and you can choose whether you're going to learn and grow from that, or what are you going to do? We chose to step away for a few days, breathe, let the nerves settle down a little bit. Let the hair, my hair was standing, literally. Let it calm down. And then decided, okay, we're not going to let it beat us. Let's see what take 2 is going to look like. We had made a promise to ourselves that this is what we wanted to do. We are passionate, both of us as psychotherapists and hypnotherapists are passionate about mental health, making it more accessible to you, to me, removing the barriers, whether they are taboo, whether they are, what's the other word? There's another one, no nouns in my cupboard. Goodness me. Help, somebody send help with words. It happens often. It happens. Welcome to reaching a certain age. But so trying to make sure that we can all have a space, a safe space, which is what therapy is, to bring our concerns, to bring our challenges, to bring our difficulties to somebody who can help us, would be a therapist. Take it to some of the support groups and organizations and charities that are out there. But talk about it. The key message is providing a space so that you and me can go and discuss or talk about whatever may be challenging us, and discovering how we can manage and deal with them, because we all have difficulties, whether they are inherited, whether they have seeped in through poor habits or picked up bad habits, whatever. Stories. My passion is stories, the stories that we've had or we've told ourselves. So we thought we're going to do this through therapy, Ans. And those of you who are young enough to remember that column Agony Ants, this is the kind of framework that we've created this forum on, where you can send us your letters. If you can send us through the therapyants@gmail.com, or put it in the comments and we can talk about it. So thank you very much to those who have already sent some. And for those of you who are thinking and arming, what should I ask? If you're thinking about it, I promise you 2 or 3 other people are thinking about it. So ask. It can be anonymous, or you can tell us who you are and we can mention your name, but do not sit with it. That's the key message here. Don't sit with your question. Bring it to us and we'll talk about it. And if we don't know how to address it, we'll go and find out for you.
Exactly. So any questions you've got, or stories you want to tell, you can share your stories as well. As Audrey said, she loves the story, so we will read them out, and your experiences will help other people. If you enjoy what we are doing, please remember to like, subscribe and share. If you watched the episode 1, which is around navigating grief at Christmas time, we had some issues with sound, which we're trying to correct. at the moment. We're not editors, we're not YouTubers, but we are here showing up, trying our best
Mhm.
in order to build a community, to put mental health out there. I think you said last at our last episode, we're going to take mental health out of the spice cupboard,
Yes,
and we are sprinkling it everywhere for all to hear. So please do like, comment, share, because it will hopefully help someone. And if it is helping you, then let us know in the comments below.
fantastic, brilliant. And I thought of one other thing that I always forget to say that I hear other seasoned YouTubers talking about. As psychotherapists and hypnotherapists, we are practicing therapists. So you can follow us on our pages. My page is at akili.bora.
Mine is Enchanted Circle. We're both Norfolk based, but we also both work online.
Brilliant.
Lovely. So it's January 2026. Where
Yeah,
did the year go?
where are the pom-poms?
Wow, it's gone so quick, hasn't it?
It has. It has.
It's winter, yeah. So you're still hibernating, aren't you?
Oh yeah, me and Winter have a long-standing contract that we shall give each other space. I give it space to do what it needs to do, and it leaves me alone, and I start coming out on spring. So yeah.
Mm. And January's the kind of time, isn't it, where people talk about New Year's resolutions and things like that. And we were talking about this last time we met, because I don't tend to do New Year's resolutions. I feel like it's still I'm quite seasonal, and it feels like it's still a time to rest and digest everything that's happened throughout the year. Um, Perhaps it's from my pagan roots, I'm not sure, but it just feels like I'm still resting, you're still hibernating,
Yes.
and the resolutions come broken down throughout the year. So I break mine down into small tasks. I think most of this is trial and error, because when I used to do New Year's resolutions, I almost set myself up to fail.
Mm.
Um, so instead of aiming for here for a yearly experience, I tend to, as the seasons change, plant a new seed and slowly watch that grow, then plant another new seed and slowly watch that grow. So I've been able to break that down, which makes me feel better about it all. Um, yeah, how
That's
about
such,
you?
yeah, that's such an important factor to think about. What does New Year resolution mean, or resolutions mean for you? Because we jump onto bandwagons of ideas or concepts without really thinking about, do you believe in it? What's the value of it for you? I, for a very long time, didn't make any New Year resolutions because that's just not the culture that I grew up in. As I experienced more and interacted more with the outside world, I tried making a few resolutions, and more often than not couldn't even remember what they were. So they were all seasonal. They were all situational. So I can begin by thinking, this is what my New Year resolution is now, because that's what I am feeling. For example, at the moment, I am feeling I want to expand and grow. But I don't know what that will feel like in February, March, and especially because winter is not my time, it feels very difficult to think of a resolution at the point when I am hibernating. I'm at my lowest motivational point, and it feels like I'm setting myself up to fail. And so my action points, my joy, my drive comes with the season, spring, summer. I'm upbeat. I feel I can tackle anything. So that's more or less when I feel I really know what my resolution will be for the year, and I have a higher chance of succeeding in it because I'm in alignment with the weather, the seasons, where I am. I'm motivated. So yes, it's a very valid point to think about, what does it mean for you to have a resolution? Do you believe in it? And how can you give yourself the best chance to actually fulfill that resolution?
And where's it coming from? Is it external, or is it coming from within you? Is
That's
it a change or an achievement that you really want, or are you hearing it from a different narrative? So externally, are you hearing it's something you have to do? And we spoke about shoulds and things like that before. Is it something you feel like you should do, or is it something you actually want to do? So it's really important to really tune into that and think.
Is it mine or is it others? And there's no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong, and that's the point. None of these feelings, emotions have any what's the word I'm looking for? Value until you give them the value. They are all words, and it's the meaning that you give them that then creates or generates the weight, the value of them. A resolution is a resolution. And when you give it importance, then it becomes something that you feel bound to, that you feel aligned and tied to. So think about it. Do I believe in it? Do I want one? And when you have it, what does it mean for you? Does it mean that you're adding more pressure to yourself? Or does it motivate you because you have something to aim for? You have a goal, therefore you give yourself focus. Those are the kind of questions that you're asking for you're asking yourself. And then you can decide, okay, yes, I want this, or no, this is not for me. This belongs to somebody else. So I think that's the first question to ask yourself. Do I believe in resolutions? And if so, what do they mean for me?
What will that change mean for me, and how can I implement it?
Yes. And in the grand scheme of things, how much else do you have? If you've got a lot on your plate and you're adding a resolution onto it, really,
Yeah.
we call it setting yourself up for whatever next word you want to put in there. Or if that's what your motivation is, I know, for example, my sister is a marathon runner, and a lot of the times she already does it without any prompting, which that's a whole conversation. I mean, she even runs during the winter in the snow, but I see her driven more when there is a marathon that is coming up. So when there is a goal, then through thick and thin, she will adhere to whatever it is she's picked up. I have the same, I do it myself. For example, starting the podcast, I've been thinking about it for a very, very long time. And it's been a passion of mine to try and open the cupboard and discuss about mental health and the struggles that we have with it. And I've been pushing it back for one reason or the other. I don't know what to do. I don't have the experience. Blah, blah, blah. So I bought a mic. I bought a
Yes, you
microphone. And that was the cue for, okay, now, Audrey, because I value my money and I work very hard for it. So when I've spent the money, I like to see how I've used that tool, because it is a tool. So then I'm like, okay, so you've got the microphone. What are you going to do with it?
here we are.
Hello. I hope that's making sense for somebody, whether that's giving you some ideas. And if you've made resolutions, it's not a conversation around, oh no, have I done the wrong thing? Remember, it is the value, the meaning that you've given it. So this is also an opportunity if you've already set a resolution to come back and look at it and see, okay, have I set it up in a way that I can give it its best chance for benefiting me the way I wanted to? So, we sat down and tried to record, and it went south the way it did. And it gave us an opportunity to sit back and revisit. The goal was, we've promised ourselves that we're going to create this forum, this opportunity. And so we've experienced a setback. How are we going to recover from this, and how are we going to progress this going forward? Because it is important
Yeah.
to us. It is important. So it is very, very important to recognize that setbacks are likely to appear. That's life. That's the way, that's the way it's been set up. You can come out with all the best will, the best planning, but life is also happening simultaneously. So there will be things that will jump in that could deter you or set you back. But the key is, how are you going to respond?
And it's important to acknowledge the feelings around that, hence why we needed the few days to make sure that we were fully nurturing ourselves because of the setback.
Yeah.
Now, we had a conversation, didn't we? And I was like, oh, I didn't press record. And you'll see my face in the image that I'll attach. And
Yes.
it was a real duh moment. But we, you know, I didn't push record, but Audrey kindly said, well, I need to remember that I should check too. And then we both took accountability, looked after ourselves, checked in with each other. I certainly spent the next few days between work moving with intention, just because I knew there was this additional stress that I had experienced and I needed to settle that.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge my disappointment, because I was disappointed in myself, and frustration, and just gently nurture that, acknowledge it, and move past it slowly. So what I mean by moving with intention is just slowing myself down, and in like when I'm walking to work, just walking and noticing a few things instead of just walking to work. Just notice something that gives me a bit of joy that I can find peace in, that just helps relieve those stress levels down. Holding a hot drink and really noticing the heat in the cup is really comforting to me. um, I've got a lovely moisturizer my sister bought me, and I can sniff that, and that just grounds me a little bit because it makes me think about her. And sometimes I even, a little trick that I have is, my husband is someone that really I find grounding in. So when I
Mm.
come home and see him or smell him, I just instantly feel so much calmer. I don't know, it's like magic. And yeah, it's just like magic. So sometimes if I'm particularly heightened, I didn't need to do it this week, but if I'm particularly heightened, I might spray myself with his cologne. It's really it goes back to the teenager in me wanting to wear a hoodie of the boyfriend,
Yes.
the latest boyfriend, and the sense of that. But I can then, throughout the day, I can still do my work and feel grounded at times when I just get the nice smell.
Yes.
And that's helpful for me, and little techniques that I use and have used this week in order to make sure that I am present in my everyday work that I do, because there was a glitch that we didn't expect, which happens, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. And what I'm hearing, what is so important to pick up on there for you guys, is you notice that we did not move past it. We did not ignore it. We did not brush it under the carpet. We didn't shake it off, as we often hear, or just shake it off and move on. We took time to recognize within ourselves. So we recognized within each other and comforted each other. And then within ourselves, we looked within ourselves and said, okay, what does this mean for me? How do I feel about this? And then went about acknowledging and being compassionate. We were compassionate to ourselves. I had a bath that day. For me, water is very soothing. So after speaking about it to my husband and my daughter and having a laugh about it, amazing. Because then they empathize with me, and we went, my daughter, I remember saying, "Oh my God, mommy, what a rookie mistake." And I'm like, I know, right? Right? And and very practical solutions. Did you not see the counter that's moving? And I said, well, I wasn't wearing these, was I? Because I am in denial. So of course I'm not seeing that thing moving. So um, so because I was allowed myself to express and feel the emotions that were coming up, then I was able to process it completely and then let go of it. It had no residual feeling, which is usually what we struggle with when we don't completely process our feelings and our emotions. That energy that has been left bubbling goes and meets another, and you can see, I'm, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that too. It's like a static that
Yes.
stays behind.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And sometimes it's like a sticky feeling. You hear people say, "No, I feel icky." What's that? And so you want to feel and move around in it, and so that we can be able to come back more invigorated, less burdened with the pressure of getting it right. Now, there is a little bit of it because I can tell you, we made sure today it said it is recording, and those are the lessons. And that's the point, those, what are the lessons that you've learned and how can you use them to launch yourself forward in a manner that then benefits you and what you want to do. So I think that's the message that is in here. It is, do not suppress the feelings, which is becoming the norm. You suppress it, you ignore it, you become busy doing something else so that you don't think about it. And we had a little bit of that experience when we were talking about grief, where you fill your every waking moment with something else so that it doesn't come, but you don't have to think about what you did. And then the labeling, you've labeled it as whatever that word is.
I think as well, sometimes when you're avoiding, that builds anxiety, because had we avoided this and not discussed it and not laughed about it and felt the disappointment and anger and frustration that we did discuss and feel,
Yes,
and move on from it in a nurtured, safe way, because
yes,
we're therapists, we've got the training. So luckily for each other, we got patience and
yes,
understanding and
yes,
empathy
yes,
to go with that. What that means is, if we hadn't have done that, the anxiety would have built and we maybe wouldn't have been today. But what we've learned from feeling our emotions and not having the static that's left behind is it doesn't then build friction and anxiety. What it does do is build resilience, and it makes friendship stronger, and it
yes.
makes the podcast feel even more important than it was before. And it shows we're human as well, which I think is
Absolutely.
important.
And that's a key for when you think about therapy, for those of you who are on the fence of feeling scared of going to a therapist because you have put them in this pedestal or in this um, bracket stand of experts who we are here to remind you we are also human beings with feelings, and we also mess up
Yeah,
because
I'm here.
we are human.
I'm human too.
Yes, absolutely. And in some ways, that is what makes it such a rewarding and worthwhile experience because, as a fellow human, I can come alongside you and hear you when you say you are struggling with something. I have some perception of what that could feel like, what that could look like, because in some way, shape, or form, I have an awareness of, as a human being, yeah, I'm fallible as
Absolutely.
well.
Mm. Speaking of humans,
Yes, this is a letter that we've received from somebody who has signed themselves off as someone ready for a fresh start. I love it. I love it. Every morning for me is a fresh start. So it says, Dear Therapy Ans, I'm writing because the new year is coming up. It's been now. And I've been thinking a lot about things I want to change. One of my biggest goals is to stop smoking, but I'm finding it harder than I expected. I started smoking during a stressful time, and now it feels like something I rely on when I'm anxious or overwhelmed. Even though I know it is not good for me, quitting feels scary, and I worry about failing or disappointing myself if I can't stick to it. Ooh, don't I know that feeling? I really want this new year to be different. I want to feel healthier, more in control, and proud of myself for making a positive change. I just don't know how to stay motivated or what to do when the urge hits me and my willpower feels weak. How can I approach quitting in a way that's realistic and supportive instead of being too hard on myself? Any advice on changing habits and coping with stress would mean a lot to me. Thank you for listening. Yours sincerely, someone ready for a fresh start. I love
oh wow, I like how they've signed that off. Fresh
I
start.
I know, right?
Yeah. Fresh starts all round. We've had a fresh start today, and
Hello.
and they want a fresh start for the new year, it sounds like.
Welcome to the Fresh Start Club.
Yeah, so realistic and smoking. So if we think about what we do in hypnotherapy, we break it down, don't we? So some people will do it in one session, and we would work out in the consultation whether you would need more than one or one session. But I would already be breaking that down. So when we think about habits, is something you've built, your subconscious has got used to the places, the times, the things you're experiencing externally at the times when you reach for your cigarettes. So it might be work breaks, it might be driving in your car, it might be with your cup of coffee or tea in the morning, or after dinner. There'll be certain times where you always smoke. The first thing I'd want you to do is avoid those times. So smoke whenever, but avoid them times. So instead of smoking in your car, I want you to now smoke before you get in your car. Instead of smoking on your break at work, I would want you to find a different place. So although you might still want the cigarette break at work, but stand in a different area. So the habit is breaking.
Yes.
You're confusing your subconscious, and it's like, oh, I don't normally do it here, and it will start to feel a bit more uncomfortable than it usually does, because you'll be smoking consciously.
Yes.
And in your first hypnosis session, I would exaggerate the conscious smoking and make it so that you will notice exactly how your body is reacting, and suddenly you're smoking consciously and you recognize, my body doesn't like this, my mouth doesn't feel right, my stomach doesn't feel right, my chest feels tight, and it's not actually a nice thing that I'm doing. Your body knows that it doesn't want to smoke, but your subconscious has the belief system there that it's a pattern that you've created to make it normal, so it feels normal, so you're breaking it up to no longer feel normal. And then from there, some people give up there and then because their body's reacting, they're recognizing it, and they're like, oh, this is gross. And other people might need a top up. But you've got some lovely reasons to want to give up smoking. You listed 3 reasons there, so we would focus on those and forward pace those in order for you to envision those things coming into place.
Yes.
I think it's important to mention as well the stress, the cigarettes, and what that does for you. It's like people that smoking makes you feel less stressed. Actually, it heightens your heart rate, which is
Yes.
a stress response, a
Yes.
fast heart rate. But it numbs your it gives a numbing feeling on your nerve endings, so your brain doesn't acknowledge it as stress. your heart rate's going and the chemicals are doing their thing, and it's a perceived stress relief. What is actually making you feel calm is that breath in and that breath out.
That inhale and exhale.
Yes. So I would recommend you still do the breathing,
Yes.
just without the cigarette.
Yes. Two key things in there to take out of that explanation is one, you're right. Any advice about changing habits? So a habit, we know, is something that you have done consistently over time. So it has become automated. So without even thinking about it, is that a concept that Zanny is talking about, where do you smoke? You reach out for the cigarette without even thinking it. The brain is brilliant. It is brilliant. Its job is to make everything as easy as possible to conserve energy for when the energy is needed for things that are important to keep the body alive. Okay? So it is going to make anything that feels new difficult, because you're like, what? I have to think about it. I have to create new neural pathways. This is work. This is so much work. So it will keep sending you cigarettes, not cigarettes. See what I mean? It will keep sending you signals like, your heart starts beating a lot so that it can simulate that feeling of stress, because it's trying to say, give me that thing that we automatically do that makes me think that we are safe and we are contained. So a habit is something that you've done consistently over a long period of time for it to become automatic. You can tell how passionate I am about this. So the changing of the places is what brings the breaking of the habit. Because if you now go and smoke in the kitchen, for example, you're like, what's going on? What's happening? What's going on? This is not the place. No, 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 no. This is out of place. This is out of order. I don't want this. I'm not ready. This is the place where we drink tea. Okay. And
Exactly.
that's where the cigarettes will be. So every time you go and do that, you're forced, so you're breaking that habit. So that becomes step number one. More importantly, because you're talking about the coping with stress, is that idea of what started you smoking to begin with. And if you've been doing it for a long time, it is very possible that you've forgotten the trigger, the activation before. Some of us, it is because we were with friends and all our friends went out to smoke, so you followed them because we had FOMO. We didn't want to miss out. So that's where it started. And before you know it, that became a habit. And so every time you are having fun, guess what you pick up? Every time you go to the pub, guess what you pick up? Every time you go to, so you see what I mean? It's that connection. So what came first and then got linked with the habit, with this item, with this thing. So once you understand that, you can then begin to have a space, put a distance between your feeling, your emotion, and this thing. So you can say, for example, I notice that I am now feeling FOMO. I am now feeling stressed. And that's the degree of separation, not I am stressed. Please note, I didn't say I am stressed, because that becomes an identification. And we wear identities like an armor. We are very wedded to our identities. So if you say, I am feeling stressed, you feel obliged to stick to that and exhibit symptoms that identify this thing. I hope
Yeah,
it
you
makes sense.
identify as someone who's stressed as opposed to as someone I am feeling stressed. The same with anxiety. Some people will call it my anxiety. They'll label it as I can't do that because of my anxiety. That's the first thing I would work on with them, is to separate themselves from the thing. So
Absolutely. And
we
and
don't. identity. It's a feeling that everyone experiences at some point. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're giving your brain, your thinking brain, an opportunity to sit back and ask the question, okay, so what do you want to do about it? That little 2-3 seconds degree of separation is enough for you to pump the brakes and look around better. Look around and think, okay, so what is this that I am experiencing and what do I want to do about it? Which is where that conversation about I can breathe. There's the box breathing, in for out, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. You know, you can, if that's too much, you can breathe in and out. That simulates the exact experience as a smoker. You're a long drag in, a long exhale out. And what that is doing is giving you that space and giving your heart that opportunity to settle down. And then the brain, the thinking brain, prefrontal cortex, can look around and think, are we really in danger? Which is what stress is. You know, can you really not cope with what's going on here? What options do I have? And it sounds like a lot, but do you know how quickly your thoughts fire? In me
Like the
speaking, there's so many things that you've thought about just as I'm speaking. So many questions have come to your mind. That's how quick thoughts flash. It's like the speed of light. So it may sound impossible, like a big, big ask, but trust us, your thoughts are able to fire. In those 2 seconds, there's enough space in there for your brain to kick in and say, what's going on here? What's happening? Settle down. Everybody settle down. Okay, amygdala, take a seat. We're safe. We're fine. There's no fire. There's no lion. We are safe. Okay, so what do we need to do about it? Does that make sense?
perfect. To summarize, we are trying to say give yourself time and space
Yes.
and breathe. That's it.
Yep. Yep. And then, and like, remember the habit, it will take several reiterations and patience. So it's taken you a long time to create this habit. You don't create a habit in one day. It took you a long time to get into the habit of smoking. The brain needs to catch up with what's going on, which is why hypnotherapy is brilliant, because we can be able to lay down the foundation and shortcut some of that waiting time. But it needs to be done by a professional, to be done safely and properly so that it stays. Because we know what shortcuts do, don't we, people? We've been here long enough to know this. So give yourself, first of all, some compassion. Well done. Well done. And there's quite a few things that you've said that are really applaudable. You recognize that there are difficulties coming up, so you're giving yourself the permission to be prepared for those, which is great. So it's going to be an uphill task, and it sounds like you're giving yourself the best chance for that. So that's a big credit to you. It sounds like you understand the things that could be your Achilles. It sounds like in there is an element of awareness of how you what we call your self-talk, how you talk to yourself. So you're being very compassionate with yourself and wanting to make sure that you do not put yourself down. And that's applaudable. That's a sense of awareness that a lot of us don't know what our inner voice is. And that's a big one. We are not aware that our biggest critic is ourselves. What's the story you're telling yourself? What's the voice? We are our biggest critics. And acknowledging that we are is the first step of saying, okay, if I'm my biggest critic, How do I work on being my biggest cheerleader? Because all of us
Yeah.
can tell you all the beautiful, glowing things. But if you're telling yourself, you spend so much time with yourself, so much. So, what are the words? What are the things you tell yourself? What's the story you're telling yourself? The first one is that one. I am stressed. How about we change that narrative to, I recognize I am feeling stressed. It is a feeling. So it comes and goes. You're not it. You're not the thing.
I recognize that I'm feeling stressed and I understand that I need to breathe through that stress and move intentionally.
Hello.
What That's what you need to take from this.
I hope that helps. I hope that helps. And please come back. Anybody else who has, maybe a few questions, or you want us to clarify that a little bit better, please come back, because, I can put it in context.
Right. So we've got time for one more, I
Okay?
think. So my one is from Abby. Hi, Abby.
Hello,
Thank you for
Abby.
in. And we actually got this today. So it says, Dear Therapy Aunts, I'm writing because I've been feeling a little overwhelmed lately. Nothing dramatic, just feeling tired and mentally cluttered. I most days and tell myself it's fine, but I can feel stress adding up, making everything harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to learn how to slow down and be kinder to myself, but sometimes it's hard. I'm hoping to hear how others handle these everyday mental health dips. Thank you, Abby.
Oh, Abby.
It really ties in with what we've already said,
Yes.
which is why I wanted to get this read today. It ties in with the giving yourself a moment
Yes.
and allowing the feelings, like we said at the beginning, allowing those feelings. See if you can navigate exactly where they're coming from, because some external things that can be adapted and you can learn to move away from them if they're not yours. So is it your stress or is it somebody else's stress? Is there anything you can do to help lessen them stresses?
Yes.
But for me personally, when I'm quite good at checking in with myself, so I tell myself lots of moments throughout the day without even thinking about it. As fast as Audrey was saying those thoughts come, I can check in with myself and say, what am I feeling and where am I feeling it in my body? And then I know where I have the feeling of stress. I know where that sits in me now. And I know that I need to slow myself down. So when we say moving with intention, that even comes from when I'm making my bed in the morning and I'm making it for my future self that's going to be tired after a long day at work, especially today when I've been here all day. And instead of just making the bed or walking away from the bed, I make the bed slowly and I put an intention into that. So I set almost like a spell, like an intention of, this is for me,
Yes.
so I can rest well later. So my intention is to make it so I can get in it and rest well later. In the evenings when I have a shower, if I feel that stress has crept up, that feeling of stress, I might have a shower to wash the day away. Like you said, Audrey, you have a
A
bath,
bath. Yes.
and it's almost like that kind of bath ritual is like you can leave everything in the bath and allow the plug to take it, but do that with intention. When you slow down in that way, it just makes everything else a little bit more bearable. So those mental health dips that you're talking about,
Yeah.
where your stress levels just I think you said clutter and pile up, that's because you're not taking moments just to settle it
Yes.
by moving with intention.
What comes to my mind is the conversation around, what is it that is happening that causes the overwhelm? Are there things we were talking about the beginning about what is yours and that you believe in, and what has been put on you? And it makes me think about boundaries. It makes me think about, and boundaries are really simple to come up with, but their simplicity is what makes them so difficult to enforce. I can't remember who it was that I read it from. It said boundaries are not for other people to keep, they're for you to keep and maintain. So you would have a boundary. Let's take, for example, you will not shout at me. Okay, I accept that we can have a difference. I can accept that we can have a conversation around it. I accept that it can be a heated conversation, but you will not shout at me. If it becomes a shouting, because that has a certain feeling of aggression for me, then I need to check out, because that takes me to a place where I feel unsafe. Okay? Now I will state that boundary, and I will state it at the time when it is happening. Look, when we get into this space and you start shouting at me, I feel unsafe. I feel scared. I can't think. I can't process. So then I feel unheard. Because in this state, all I'm thinking about is how do I get out of here? How do I get myself to a safe space? Which means I am not putting across my needs. So it becomes one-sided. So please, when we are having these conversations, I don't have a problem discussing them. I don't have a problem them being heated. But when the volume gets to a certain degree, I will need to, whatever it is, step away. And so the next time it happens and the voices get raised, I'll be like, okay, we've reached my threshold. This is that point where I am feeling unsafe. I am experiencing myself as at risk. So I'm going to step away and come back when we've both cooled down and we can have a conversation around it. And that's exactly what you do. So what is that overwhelm? Because at that point, my overwhelm is safety. It is too much is coming at me and I'm experiencing it as I'm quite a visual person, as words coming at me at a fast rate and they're bombarding. I'm feeling like I'm being bombarded. Okay? So what is that overwhelm? Where is it coming from? And is it
And are there boundaries you can put in place?
correct? Is it coming because you have no boundaries? Therefore, everything is a go. Everything is possible.
Yeah, so it's important to look at that, isn't it? Your boundaries, Abby. And you mentioned something really important there as well, Audrey, is the supporting your needs. And I'm a great believer if your foundational needs, so your food, water, shelter, warmth, if your foundational needs are all set, then it's easier for you to hold those boundaries in place.
Yes.
Because your foundational needs, you've met them and they're strong and you're grounded, and then the boundaries can come in after that. But if you feel your boundaries are wobbling, then sometimes it's a signal to think about, am I eating okay? Have I had enough water? What's made me am I too tired to hold that boundary?
If we go a little bit into what we call the basic needs, food, shelter, and security, they sound really animalistic. There's another word, but it's refusing to come out, because clearly you can hear there are no nouns in my cupboard today. My cupboard is what happened to all the nouns? Someone needs to.
It's cold, wet, and dark outside.
Oh, winter. So those basic needs sound really simple. It's really simple. But if we think about them, and there's the analogy or the what I like to use so that people can understand the value and the importance of some of these simple concepts, is our ancestors' basic survival instincts was you needed food so that you can be able to have enough energy. Remember, we're talking about the energy. so that we can be able to get to the next place to be able to create food. If you had food, you are going to be able to procreate and increase your lineage, so you would be able to have children. Okay, so sometimes, we see it in areas where people don't have enough food. The birth rate, the procreation is also low because your body is preserving its energy for basic human needs: walk, run, survive. If I have surplus, okay, then I can procreate because I have extra. I have extra. I have extra to be able to feed somebody else, another human being. That's how they connect to each other. Shelter. If I have a cave, I can be safe from the predator. In this day and age, if I have shelter, I can get away from the rain that is hammering my roof at the moment, which means I will not get sick. Does that make sense? And because I have food that is going to give me health, I can be able to then go outside and do what I am doing. Spread the word. Does that make sense? So that's food. That's shelter, which gives you safety. If I am safe, I can be able to look and see how can I be of use. Inside first, then outside. So those are what the boundaries are. If I'm safe, I can be able to put a boundary in place that is going to be able, that means that I can be able to sustain myself. But if your safety is dependent on somebody else, i.e., if that person is not there, I am no longer safe, then it becomes difficult to put the boundary. Are we making the connection? And that's where we talk about how do you then remove the third party and get to give it to yourself. What do I need to do to give myself the safety? What do I need to do?
Yeah, and they're the things that you can be in control of as well, aren't they? So often the first things to wobble are sleep and food. So I'd always think about focusing on those two things when you start to feel your boundaries slip. Am I eating enough? Am I eating enough? Meaning, have I got enough energy because I'm eating well?
Yes.
And how is my sleep? Do I need to put something in place to help me sleep better in order to be able to survive another day?
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. It is exactly it. Because we know we are having conversations around how sleep is not just a nice to have. It is vital. It is the nature's way, the body's way of cleaning up the system. What do I need to keep from today's activities, from all the conversations that Audrey and Zanny told me? Because we recognize there's a lot of information that has come to you. When you go to sleep, your system is going to go through like a computer, download all the things that happened to you today. Everything from the moment you opened your eyes, like that. Everything that happened to you to the point where your eyes closed, it's going to download all that information and then sieve it for check. Is that important to us? No. Is that important to us? No. That important? Woo! That's what I needed. That one. That one. We can use somewhere else. Okay, where do we file it? Where do you want to file that one? That one scared me. That one actually, it reminded me of the time. Okay, so now what do we do with that information? Where do I file that? That's what sleep is doing. It's sieving all the data and determining what is important, what is not important. What can I keep? What can I discard? And so you can imagine if you haven't slept well, we haven't managed to sieve all this. So you wake up in the morning with all the information, all the data from today, and you've started it with a full hard disk. I was about to tell my age. I was going to say floppy disk. That's how old I am. So there's no space. Your drive is already, you've used up so much space. Your brain hasn't managed to clear and return to you an empty hard drive so you can start filling it in, which is what those feelings of overwhelm are. You've started at 50% as opposed to somebody who slept well, who started at 0 and has the capacity to build onto it. So you already wake up feeling, whoa, okay.
Makes me think of how, I mean, I'm not on TikTok, but I know a lot of the TikTokers, show my age now, are referring to their energy levels as spoons.
Oh.
So how many spoons are you going to have when you wake up? And the more you look at your foundational needs, the more spoons you're going to start with. Therefore, the more activities you're going to be able to use. So
Interesting.
if you want more spoons, think about your foundational needs. We'll list them in the show notes. Brilliant.
Yes. I hope that helps, because that can feel a lot. And we appreciate that there is a lot of it can feel like a lot of information coming at you, which is why the recording is there for you to go back, take what you can today, and then chew on it, sleep on it. You see, those they're not there for, now you understand why they say sleep on it. This is the reason why. Sleep on it, and your brain will have the opportunity to decide, what do I need to take? So, don't experience overwhelm by, okay, so what is important here? It's all information.
Sleep on it. Yeah, sleep on it, and watch it again, comment, like, subscribe, and share it. And then share it with your friends if it can help them. We really appreciate everyone watching this. We appreciate the feedback we've been given. Bear with us while we try and tweak. We're having teething problems, which we are getting through, and we will continue to get through it so we can continue to grow. Remember, you can send your letters to the therapyaunts@gmail.com. We will read every single one of them. You can comment on our Instagram, which is the Therapy Aunts, or even contact us separately. I've been Zanny at Enchanted Circle.
And I've been Audrey at akili.bora.
And we have been the Therapy Aunts.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next episode.